There's a very specific kind of hell in writing a song to mock the exact type of guy you hate, only to watch 50,000 of them pump their fist to it every single night. That was Scott Weiland's reality in 1992. And if you were around then when Stone Temple Pilots dropped Core, you might remember how Sex Time Thing hit. Dean DeLeo, the guitarist, actually got the main lick from hearing Led Zeppelin's In the Light muffled through the windows one day. And when he brought it to the band, it sounded like someone dropped a Buick off a 3-story building. But Weiland was actually an art kid, and he didn't want to just write another dumb, chest-thumping rock anthem. So after an awful experience happened to a girl he was dating, he'd been looking into date rape and the predatory macho garbage culture surrounding it. He thought those guys were pathetic, so he decided to write a character study. He wrote the lyrics from the perspective of the worst, most entitled creep you can imagine, specifically to tear that mindset down. And it's supposed to be like a dark joke, a mirror held up to the absolute worst guy at the party. But there's a rule in rock and roll that nobody ever learns. It doesn't matter what your lyrics are about if the guitar riff makes people want to punch a hole through a brick wall. And the second that distortion kicked in, the satire completely evaporated. The exact dudes Weiland was making fun of didn't read the lyric sheet, especially since STP was spending early tours opening up for Megadeth. The crowd heard the groove and took off their shirts and started throwing elbows in the pit, none the wiser. Night after night, Weiland looked out at a sea of sweaty dudes screaming his lyrics back at him without a shred of irony. And if that wasn't frustrating enough, the music press completely missed it too. Remember, the 90s critics had already decided these guys from San Diego were just corporate grunge fakes trying to steal Seattle's lunch money. So when journalists heard Sex Type Thing, they didn't bother looking for the subtext. No, they just pointed at the mosh pits and accused the band of being misogynist Neanderthals. And Weiland, of course, was furious about this. He complained to Rolling Stone that it felt like the press was just looking for a new rock panic to latch onto, since the whole thing with Ice-T and his band Body Count's Cop Killer song, that was a whole controversy that had just blown over. And Weiland was trapped. The fans didn't get it, and the critics used it to crucify him, so he tried to force the issue. To push back on the macho posturing, he started showing up on stage wearing old 60s dresses and smeared lipstick and stuff like that, but even that didn't work. It actually took a whole year and a half in MTV to finally get the record straight for good. Because in late 1993, the band did MTV Unplugged, and this time Weiland knew exactly what he was doing. To get the point across, they couldn't play the song in its heavy version. Obviously, this was unplugged, so they stripped it down, slowed it up, and turned the biggest riff of the year into a sleazy, creeping, finger-snapping lounge song.
I said you shouldn't have worn that dress, worn that dress. I know you want what's on my mind. I know.
And without the wall of distortion hiding the vocals, you couldn't really ignore the words. And sitting there in a rocking chair and crooning like a lounge lizard, Scott didn't sound like a rock star. He sounds like the terrifying creep at the end of the bar who won't leave the ladies alone. It was brilliant. That took away all the noise and exposed the rot, and for the first time, everyone finally got it.